A number of religious conservative leaders are meeting in Texas this weekend. They're trying to figure out if they can unite behind a candidate other than frontrunner Mitt Romney. One leader, though, who's not attending that meeting is my next guest, Pastor Robert Jeffress, who's also the Rick Perry supporter who made some headlines last fall for calling Mormonism a cult. But he's the author as well of When Time Runs Out. And it's nice to see you. Welcome back to the program. And I first want to ask you why you're not attending the meeting this weekend.
Well, first of all, I wasn't invited to the meeting this time. I've met with that group before, Alex, and frankly, some of them are kind of ticked off with me for what I said about Mitt Romney last fall. But I have talked with some of the organizers of the event, and let me tell you what's really going on here, Alex. You've got a divide among these leaders between the idealists who are trying to search for the right candidate, that is, anybody other than Mitt Romney, but then you've got the pragmatists who want to make sure they don't hurt their access to the next president, whom they believe is going to be Romney. And I predict what's going to happen is after South Carolina, you'll see a group of these evangelicals meet with Mitt Romney. They will, quote, share their hearts with Romney. Romney will listen politely. They'll hold hands and sing Kumbaya, and they'll come out and have some kind of endorsement for Romney.
Now, where do you fall in those two groups you were describing there?
Well, I believe right now Romney's the inevitable nominee. I mean, the fat lady hasn't sung yet, but she's in the green room warming up. But I would say right now that before Romney becomes the nominee, I would encourage Christians to look for the most consistently conservative Christian they can find. But I do think in November, if Romney's the nominee, we may have to hold our noses and choose between the lesser of two evils. But it's not November yet.
Well, what do you think might happen between now and November?
Well, I just do believe that Romney is going to be the nominee, especially if he wins South Carolina. But, Alex, I think it is a real mistake to confuse inevitability in the primaries with electability in the general election. And I remind people that in 2008, 30 million evangelical Christians sat at home and didn't vote because they weren't energized by John McCain. Barack Obama won by 10 million votes. And I think that could very well happen this time unless Governor Romney reassures evangelical Christians that he really is consistently conservative and not a closet moderate.
Well, I remember speaking with Lawrence O'Donnell, who said that Republican pollsters have told him a full 20% of evangelicals would never vote for Mormon. So that puts Mitt Romney at a deficit right there out of the starting gate. Do you think that means they won't vote for anybody else? They will just stay home? I mean, they're not going to vote for Barack Obama, right, if they're for the evangelical Christians?
Well, right. Some of these evangelical leaders who are meeting today are convinced that if Romney's the nominee, that evangelicals have no choice but to vote for Mitt Romney. And I disagree with that. I do think 2008 proved they do have another choice other than Mitt Romney, and that's the choice to stay at home. And so I don't think Mormonism is the only problem, or even perhaps the major problem. One of these leaders said to me this week, my problem with Romney is not that he's a Mormon, but that he's not good enough of a Mormon. I mean, they don't believe that he's really consistent on the issues of life and the sanctity of marriage. You know, you had Romney saying at one point in his career that he would run to the left of Ted Kennedy on the issue of abortion and homosexuality. So I think Romney's going to have to do some things, Alex, to reassure evangelicals if he really wants to energize them in November.
Do you think religion's going to play a role in the general election?
Oh, yes, I think it does. And again, I don't believe it's the primary issue with a lot of people, but to religious people, religion matters. And what a candidate believes is very important. It defines the essence of who he is. And I've said from the beginning, Alex, I think Mitt Romney is a wonderful, good family man, but we don't confuse that with historic Christianity.
All right. Pastor Robert Jeffress, nice to see you again. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alex.